The film begins in England in 1990, where we see a Japanese girl named Tornado running through the trees in a forest. It is clear that she is fleeing from a gang of bandits led by a man named Sugarman. Tornado keeps running until she comes across a house. She sneaks inside to hide without being noticed by the owners. It doesn't take long before Sugarman and his gang arrive at the house. They question the owner about Tornado's whereabouts, but he tells them he hasn't seen her. Consequently, Sugarman orders his men to search the house. At that moment, Tornado is hiding in a room on the second floor. Fortunately for her, when one of the gang members enters the room, the floor collapses, and he falls through to the floor below. Following the fall, he tells his comrades that he didn't find Tornado upstairs. Sugarman and his gang then exit the house and wait for Sugarman's son, known as Sugarman Jr. At that time, Sugarman Jr. is in the bathroom, and when he comes out, he finds Tornado right in front of him after she stepped out of the room. He seizes her and threatens to kill her if she doesn't reveal the location of the gold. But Tornado refuses to give him any information. Just then, the house owner's daughter arrives and sees them. Tornado asks her for help, but Sugarman Jr. threatens the girl to keep her quiet and not say a word. It becomes clear that he is greedy for the gold and wants to take it all for himself. Therefore, he demands that Tornado stay in the house and not try to escape until he returns for her. Otherwise, he will kill her and the homeowners. Afterward, Sugarman Jr. leaves to join the rest of the gang. Tornado goes to look out the window to see what is happening. Outside, Sugarman and his men are coordinating the areas where they will search for Tornado. He tells them they will split into groups, but Sugarman Jr. tells his father that he wants to search for her alone and doesn't want anyone coming with him. His father takes him aside, strikes him, and warns him that he must not disobey orders. Forced by the situation, Sugarman Jr. has to listen to his father. As soon as the gang leaves, Tornado exits the house and starts running. Meanwhile, Sugarman Jr. kills the gang member assigned to him so he can continue on his path alone. It is then revealed that a young boy named Ian has been following them and witnesses everything that happens. We then cut back to Tornado, who has reached a traveling circus. There, she enters the room of a circus performer named Mint. As soon as he sees her, he hugs her and asks about her father. We learn here that Mint is a friend of Fujin, Tornado's father. At that moment, Tornado remains silent, and sadness appears on her face, making Mint realize that Fujin has passed away. Tornado then sits on the ground and begins to remember everything that happened to her.
We flash back in time to see Fujin practicing his swordsmanship with incredible skill. It turns out he's a former samurai warrior with vast experience in combat and sword fighting. However, he currently makes a living performing puppet shows to provide for his daughter. We also see that Fujin trains Tornado in sword fighting every single day. At the same time, we see Sugarman and his gang as they steal a massive amount of gold from a church in a nearby village. Sugarman speaks to his men, ordering them to keep the gold in a safe place so they can later divide it equally among themselves. It is clear that Sugarman Jr. is unhappy with this equal distribution, especially since not all of them even participated in the heist. However, his father completely ignores him and doesn't offer a response. The gang then splits into two groups. One goes with Sugarman Jr. to hide the gold, while the second group goes with Sugarman the father to get food. While Sugarman Jr. and his group are on their way, they come across the performance being given by Fujin and his daughter, so they stop to watch. During the show, Tornado notices Ian stealing from the people watching the performance. She keeps an eye on him until she sees him approaching the bags of gold belonging to the gang, realizing that he intends to steal the bags and run. Once the show ends, Sugarman Jr. and his men are shocked to discover that the gold has been stolen. They quickly rush off to search for the thief. Meanwhile, Tornado goes after Ian, catches up to him, and quickly hides both him and the gold inside their wagon. At that moment, Sugarman Jr. is standing nearby and sees exactly what is happening, but he remains completely silent and says nothing. Later, one of the gang members encounters Tornado and questions her about the bags of gold. She lies to him, claiming she saw someone steal them and run into the forest.
Afterward, Tornado goes to help her father clean the wagon, feeling tense as she notices Sugarman Jr. standing there, watching them. After a while, Sugarman arrives in a fit of rage after learning the gold was stolen. When he sees Fujin's wagon passing in front of him, he grows suspicious that Fujin might be involved in the theft. At that time, Tornado brings the boy who stole the gold out of his hiding place. When she opens the bags he has, she is overjoyed to find them filled with gold. However, Ian tells her that the gold belongs to him, so she gives him a single gold coin and kicks him out of the wagon.
After a while, Tornado is surprised to find that the wagon has come to a halt. She gets out to investigate and discovers a large tree blocking the path. At that exact moment, she spots Sugarman and his men heading toward them. Thinking quickly, she grabs the bags of gold and hides them in a hole deep within the forest, while Ian stands at a distance, watching her secretly. Tornado then returns to her father's wagon, unaware that Ian is still observing her from behind the trees. Suddenly, one of Sugarman's men spots Ian and seizes him. In the struggle, the gold coin falls from Ian's hand onto the ground. The man calls out to Sugarman and shows him the coin. Enraged, Sugarman demands to know where Ian got the gold. Terrified, Ian points toward Fujin's wagon. Sugarman and his gang immediately surround the wagon from every side. He asks Fujin if he was the one who took the gold, but Fujin denies it, claiming he knows nothing about it. Not believing a word, Sugarman orders his men to ransack the wagon, but despite a thorough search, they find nothing. Furious, Sugarman turns back to Ian, who confesses that Tornado was the one who took the bags from him. Realizing the danger they are in, Fujin tries to speak calmly to Sugarman, explaining that there must be a misunderstanding and that his daughter is no thief. Sugarman ignores him completely. With a simple nod, one of his men shoots Fujin with an arrow, killing him. Before he breathes his last, Fujin manages to draw his sword and wound Sugarman in the stomach. Terrified, Tornado flees into the forest, with Sugarman and his men in hot pursuit. Meanwhile, Sugarman Jr. goes to the spot where he saw Tornado hiding the gold, only to be shocked when he finds the box empty. Returning to the present, Ian rushes to Tornado and warns her that Sugarman's men are coming for her. Mint looks out the window and sees them approaching. He steps out to confront them and defend Tornado, but one of the bandits shoots him with an arrow, seemingly finishing him off. They capture Tornado and Ian, and Sugarman demands the location of the gold. Tornado confesses that it is hidden in a hole in the forest. Realizing Ian knows the exact spot, Sugarman decides to take the boy with him to lead the way, while ordering his men to execute Tornado. Suddenly, Nit rises from the ground. It turns out he is still alive. He lunges at Sugarman, knocking him down. But the rest of the gang swarms Mint and kills him for good. Tornado and Ian seize this moment of chaos to escape. As his men help him up, Sugarman is clearly in agony from his wound, but he pushes through the pain and orders his men to burn the circus to the ground. Vina, the circus owner's wife, sees the horror unfolding and warns everyone to flee immediately. During the escape, one of Sugarman's men shoots Ian in the leg with an arrow, then picks him up and carries him away to force him to reveal the gold's location. As for Tornado, she keeps moving until she is far away from the scene. She collapses on the ground, devastated as she watches the circus go up in flames before her eyes. Suddenly, Sugarman Jr. appears and holds a knife to her throat, threatening to kill her unless she reveals the location of the gold. Forced to comply, Tornado leads him through the forest. On their way, they cross paths with Sugarman the father and his men returning from the woods. Sugarman Jr. instantly realizes that they reached the gold before him. Sugarman asks his son about the man who was supposed to be with him. The son claims he killed him and then suddenly lunges at his father to kill him too. However, Sugarman is faster. He stabs his son with his sword, finishing him off. Tornado seizes the chaos and runs as fast as she can until she reaches their wagon. There, she breaks down beside her father's body, weeping and apologizing to him, realizing that her greed was the reason for his death. He takes the arrow that killed him as a grim memento. Later, she heads to the hiding spot, only to find the hole empty. She assumes Sugarman and his men took the gold, but then she is shocked to find Ian lying on the ground near the hole. She approaches to check if he is alive, and it turns out he is still breathing, though his injuries are critical. Tornado takes him back and lays him inside the wagon. Ian then reveals that the gang didn't actually find the gold because the hole was already empty. He tells her that he had been watching her hide the gold, but then saw her father come by later and move it to a different location. Tornado suddenly remembers a sentence her father said to her before he died, one she didn't understand at the time. Focusing on his words, she realizes he hid the gold high up in a tall tree. She rushes to the tree and retrieves the gold, but by the time she returns, Ian has passed away. She sits beside him, crying, and vows to take revenge on Sugarman and his men. But before she makes her move, she takes the bags of gold to the river, places them in a boat, and rows deep into the water. She then throws the bags into the river so that no one can ever reach them. In that moment, it is clear that Tornado deeply regrets her actions and the price that was paid for that gold. Afterward, Tornado goes back to hunt down Sugarman and his remaining men. She spots one of them heading toward the forest and realizes they are searching for her. She stalks him until she is close enough to call out to him. As soon as he sees her, he draws his sword to kill her, but Tornado takes him out with a single swift strike. Next, she tracks down the rest of the gang. She spots one of them perched in a tree. This is the man who killed her father with an arrow. She pulls out the very same arrow that took her father's life, aims carefully, and hits her mark. He dies instantly. His companion, standing below the tree, is shocked to find him dead. The moment he sees Tornado, he charges at her, but she lunges forward and cuts him down with her sword. Two more of Sugarman's men spot her and give chase. One of them is armed with a gun and open fire, but he misses as she moves with incredible speed. They corner her, and as one sits down to reload his weapon, the other stands before Tornado, mocking her for being ready to fight. However, he is caught off guard by her elite combat skills. Even so, he manages to strike her with his sword, wounding her shoulder. Tornado then notices the other man aiming his gun at her again. She moves like lightning, severing his hand with her blade. In that split second, the gun goes off, hitting his companion in the leg. Tornado seizes the opportunity, killing the first man with one blow before turning back to finish off the gunman. With the threat almost gone, Tornado continues her hunt for Sugarman himself. She encounters the last of his men, but he is so paralyzed with fear that he drops his weapon to the ground. She approaches him, on the verge of killing him, but changes her mind at the last second and lets him live. Finally, Tornado reaches Sugarman, only to find him on the brink of death from his earlier wound. She sits beside him, letting him know that she has wiped out his entire gang except for one. She stays by his side until he breathes his last, then leaves him behind and disappears into the forest. Eventually, she reunites with the circus performers as they search for a new home to replace the one that was burned. Vina notices that Tornado has dealt with Sugarman's gang. Tornado asks Vina if she is now a criminal, but Vina reassures her, saying she isn't a criminal, but a powerful warrior who fought evil and triumphed. She gives her food for her journey. We learn then that the circus folk see Tornado as a hero, especially after she avenged them by taking down Sugarman and his men. Tornado feels a sense of peace and sets off to find a new place to fight injustice, carrying with her one small bag of gold that remained. And that's the end of Tornado's journey. Don't forget to let us know in the comments. What do you think of Tornado's actions? Do you believe she was responsible for her father's death? Or was she just a victim of circumstance? If you enjoyed this summary, make sure to follow our channel and hit that notification bell. We'll see you in the next recap.